Often, you'll want to give your users plenty of room to say what they need to say. Maybe it's for a comment section, a contact form, or a review that they're filling out. Regardless, if you need to give your user the ability to type in multi-line text of any length, you're going to use the text area field. So I have the join.html file open from the 1210 Explorers directory. I'm going to scroll down to our last radio button, hit return to create a new line just below that. And here, instead of typing something in, we're going to go back to using labels to identify the form element. With our checkboxes and our radio buttons, since those are individuals with their own labels, in order to identify the entire group's purpose, we had to use those singular paragraphs. But now we're back to just letting our label tag do that for us. So I'm going to go up to my form objects, and text area is one of those three options in the section just to the right of the form tag. So there's hidden fields, text fields, and there's text area. So go ahead and click to place a text area field on the page. Now the ID for this one is going to be profile, and the label for this one is going to be profile bio, and in parentheses type in tell us a little about yourself. So labels don't have to be restricted to one or two words. You can really make them say whatever they need to say in order to be descriptive for their particular form element. Now we're going to attach that label tag using the for attribute, and the tab index is going to be 240. So we should be good there. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And there is our text input field. Now again, the layout of this form is pretty weak right now. The default layout of it is not really great. Any screen reader or any other type of user agent that won't be able to read our CSS, however, is going to be able to access these form elements just fine. And visually, we're going to be controlling them through CSS in just a little bit, so I'm not too concerned about the way it looks, at least not yet. Now, I'm going to go ahead and select the text area field because here we have a few options that we can go ahead and set manually. First off, I want to make sure that the ID is profile, and it is. Now, here we have a character width and a number of lines. Now, character width can be set through HTML properties, but it can also be overridden by CSS. Number of lines is going to be the number of multiple lines that somebody can type and be visible at one time, but that can also be overridden through CSS by using of the width property. So I'm just going to leave mine at the default, which in this case is 45 and 5. But if you wanted to set that to an explicit value and not intend to overwrite that with CSS later, that would be fine. Notice that from the type property, this text field is set to be a multi-line. So in reality, you could set a normal input text field on the page, set it to multi-line, and sort of change it into this text area. You can also give it an initial value. So if you wanted to type something maybe a little bit more descriptive into the text field, so there was some default text already in there, you could go ahead and do this. Now, typically, that's only really done if you've got a form that somebody is filling out to, say, update a blog post or something, and you kind of needed some text already in there to sort of jumpstart them. You're really not going to do that as a way of describing what they should type into the form element because that's what the label is for. Plus, it gives your user the added work of highlighting that default text and then having to delete it, and we don't really want to have to do that as well. All right, so let's go ahead and save our file. And we're almost done with our form. However, I want to turn your attention just briefly to the label and its relationship to the text area field. Choosing where to place a label on text areas, that's usually a matter of personal style and personal choice. There are a couple of things that you need to take into consideration. Readability. Can users read it, and visually does it have a relationship to the text area itself? Usability, and how your previous text fields address their labels as well. So how you treat your text fields further up within your form matters here as well. Because of their width, most people expect the label to be above the text area. To avoid too much spacing, you could use a line break to separate the label and the text area, or, as we will use in our form a little bit later on, you can use CSS to control label and form element spacing.